Hello there, I'm Points and welcome back to Nostalgia Hunter. In today's episode, I will be looking at Ratchet & Clank for the PlayStation 2. After the success of the Spyro the Dragon series, Insomniac Games were considered one of the titans of 3D platformers. Ratchet & Clank was released in 2002 and was met by largely positive reviews, including a 9.2 from IGN. Ratchet & Clank is a sci-fi adventure platformer in which our lovable heroes embark on a quest to save their galaxy from the clutches of the evil, capitalistic Chairman Drek. Ratchet & Clank follows the typical hero's journey, and as you would expect, this means the stakes are high. For a game about defeating a megalomaniac alien tyrant hell-bent on destroying the galaxy, Ratchet & Clank manages to maintain a fun, welcoming atmosphere. There is a sense of urgency and importance to the plot, yet it doesn't take itself too seriously. Ratchet & Clank has a unique sense of humour that has become a staple of the series. The difference between a lasting franchise and a one-hit wonder comes down to the characters. No matter how intense the storyline, without likeable, relatable protagonists and antagonists you love to hate, a platformer is destined to be put aside after the first game over screen. Ratchet and Clank are our heroes. Ratchet is a humble mechanic with aspirations as boundless as the galaxy and a perfect mix of competence, personality and charisma.
You bet. I built that ship with it.
Clank is the result of a malfunction in a military robot factory, and what he lacks in size and strength, he makes up for with intelligence and wit.
Well, I find the fact that he has a spring where his leg should be to be quite puzzling.
Combine these two and we are left with a dysfunctional duo who, despite their flaws, complement each other perfectly. They resemble the familiar notions of human relationships, a friendship with satisfying highs and relatable lows.
Wake up!
Captain Quark?
No, goofball. It's me, Ratchet.
Memorable characters don't end with our protagonists though. There's Chairman Drek, the comically evil corporate bigot whose slimy appearance alone inspires the player to long for his inevitable demise. And there's also Captain Quark, the epitome of slapstick incompetence. His allegiances may be ambiguous, as he naively jeopardizes the galaxy for the sake of an endorsement deal, but his entertainment value keeps you anticipating the next hilarious cutscene. Ratchet & Clank is visually stunning, but not simply because of its graphics. The colours on display in this fictional galaxy possess a level of charm that can't quite be achieved by games set in the real world. Each planet has a different colour palette, and each one feels like a real thriving ecosystem in which the inhabitant race can believably live. The attention to detail brings the visuals to life. There is so much to immerse yourself in, and so much to explore. Add to this a perfectly fitting soundtrack, which accentuates the atmosphere of each level, and you'll find yourself lost deep in the Solana galaxy. Ratchet & Clank doesn't exactly break new ground with its gameplay. The controls are tight and responsive, but they won't blow you away. Where Ratchet & Clank does go above and beyond though, is with its addictive gameplay and enticing collectibles. Mario collects coins, Sonic collects rings, but despite years of playing, I never really felt like I needed to obtain every last one of them. Ratchet & Clank implements a currency of bolts. Most objects in the game are destructible, excluding structures of course, and there are countless crates of shiny goodies sprinkled throughout each level. Collecting these bolts lets off an incredibly satisfying sound effect, and the availability of weapons and gadgets to purchase means it never feels like you're collecting them simply for the sake of it. Every bolt you find brings you one step closer to that awesome rocket launcher, or maybe that solid steel boxing glove, or even that deadly robot dispensing glove of doom. The game's unique implementation of weapons and gadgets means the gameplay is never repetitive or stale. There is always a different way to tackle that horde of enemies, and this sense of variety and unpredictability is a rare gem in the platforming genre. One thing that contributes to the success of Ratchet & Clank, in my opinion, is that it was released at the perfect time. 3D platforming existed and had been very successful in titles like Super Mario 64 and Conker's Bad Fur Day, but Ratchet & Clank had the strength of the relatively new PlayStation 2 at its disposal. The game utilised the hardware to create huge, intimidating levels, which really made the protagonists feel tiny and insignificant in comparison. The series is all about the notion of being a little fish in a giant pond. It creates an almost tangible feeling of accomplishment when you finally progress through the stages. One flaw I will point out though, is that the lack of a strafing ability can make shooting enemies while simultaneously dodging their attacks incredibly difficult and occasionally frustrating. This aspect is forgivable in my opinion, as it adds to the challenge and the issue is resolved in later titles. It's been 13 years since I first met Ratchet & Clank, but I'm still in love with their adventures. Regardless of where the plot takes them, their dynamic and entertaining relationship is a formula for success. While this game does lack some important features, the characters, the setting, and the well-written plot is enough to warrant another playthrough. The HD collection is available for PlayStation 3, and I highly recommend it to fans and newbies alike. But that's all for this episode of Nostalgia Hunter. I hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching.